Jayshree, thank you very much for making time and sharing your insights into the future of leadership. But before we go there, can you tell us where you're from and where did you grow up?
Okay, so I'm from Chatsworth, which is an Indian township in Durban, in South Africa.
Right.
And that's where I grew up.
And when you grew up, what was your dream career?
So when I was really young, I wanted to be a physiotherapist.
Yeah.
And not because I knew what it was, but because I thought it sounded really cool. And when I got into high school, I wanted to be an attorney. And that's what I thought I would study when I finished school.
So where did you start your career?
Definitely not studying to be a lawyer. When I finished school, my dad did not have enough funds actually to send me to university. So I decided to study part-time and work as well. And I went into the computer industry. So I studied computer science for a year. I got a job at a big bank. I stayed there for a couple of years, did a lot of studying, and I've been in about 3 or 4 financial services institutions since then.
So you've always been in IT, is that right?
So my background, yes, I have a background in information technology, but also business strategy and marketing as well, and banking. Because I worked in a bank, I had to study banking as well. So it's across a couple of areas, IT, marketing, strategy, and then banking as well.
And I believe even in academia.
Yes, so I have an MBA. I did my research dissertation on the key value drivers of innovation and entrepreneurship at a firm level. I've lectured at a few universities, and I've published in the Innovation Journal a 7 steps model that I created around how to manage innovation at a firm level. And most recently, I've developed the 7 pillar model for incubation.
Okay, and you're currently running the Standard Bank Incubator?
Yes, I head up the Standard Bank Incubator program. It's now part of an area called the Entrepreneurship Center of Excellence, which is broader than just incubation. It includes incubation, acceleration, access to markets, and the frameworks that are required for incubators in South Africa, but in Africa as well. So we've also launched an incubator in Mozambique based on the same model.
Can you tell us what is your vision for the incubator?
My vision for the incubator is to have a space like you've seen now in every province in South Africa that can actually help entrepreneurs across the country realize their dreams of being successful, sustainable, innovative entrepreneurs. But not just in suburbs like Rosebank, but in townships where we want to partner with organizations on township incubators, maker spaces to infuse maths and science and engineering into the mindsets of the youth early on, so they understand the power of engineering and science and maths in the role it plays within innovation and entrepreneurialism.
Now, talking about students, I believe you're also involved in a community project?
Yes, we are involved in a project at the moment. I am the interim CEO of an initiative called Phoenix. Standard Bank has decided to be the supporter of this initiative for at least the next 3 years. It was conceptualized within the business and commercial area to really help students access fees to pay for their university studies. I go back and think about myself. I didn't have fees to study at university, but there was no one I could really ask in my community, so I took another route. But these students know what they want to study. All that's missing is the fees for them to study. So it's a crowdfunding platform based on crowdfunding models that are globally recognized. It helps individuals to get funding from people like you and I, as well as from corporates to pay for their fees outstanding.
And the website is phoenix.org.
So it's FEENIX.org.
Phoenix.org.
Yes.
Great. Now, Jayshree, has there been, as you grew into your career, has there been a certain inspiration? Was there somebody or something that inspired you?
You know, very often you don't realize the potential that you have until you experience it. And because I'd never had a formal education in the form of going to a university, the first time I got exposed to studying was when I worked at one of the other big banks. and I came top of class. And top of class means top of class for the whole bank. And I realized, oh, I must have some potential. And that made me realize that you can actually be anything you want to be if you have the determination and if you work hard enough towards it. So it's not easy working and studying, but it can be done. And I've never stopped studying ever since. Okay, so I haven't studied for the last 2 or 3 years, but I studied for almost 17 years of my life, ever since I started working, because I really wanted to achieve more in life. And I think just being able to achieve those results early on gave me the drive to do more in my career and in my academic journey as well.
So what would you say is driving you today?
The ability to make a difference in other people's lives, to really see how the work we do impacts others. We are truly changing lives every single day and fulfilling aspirations. And I know that's one of our core pillars from a strategy perspective. But I feel blessed that I'm in a role and in a job where I can make a difference to entrepreneurs, to innovators that really want to get to the next level. And for me, that's what drives me.
So when we talk about the future of leadership, what does it mean to you?
To me, it's about using the power that you have to help others reach their full potential. I think if you're a true leader, you're not just looking out for yourself, but for those around you. And where you have the potential to make a difference, you should.
And in your own journey, what have you learned along your own journey that you consider important for future leaders?
Never judge a book by its cover. Individuals are a lot more than what they do in an organization. So I am not what I do at the bank. I am my own person. I have my own dreams and aspirations. I have my own skill sets. And I have my own purpose that I need to live up to. So you should always see beyond a person's title and beyond the role that they're currently fulfilling, and truly see what they could possibly achieve in life if they are given the opportunity to do so.
Now, as the world is changing faster and faster and as technology is accelerating, what would you advise future leaders they should focus on to build a future-proof career?
The jobs of the future do not exist today. So if you are embarking on a journey of making sure that you are relevant, make sure your skills are broad, make sure the areas that you study are broad enough. Don't just go for traditional qualifications. Think about the creative industry, the creative economy, the design economy. Those are the skills that you are going to need for the future.
And when it comes to technology, which technologies, in your opinion, will be driving the future of leadership?
I definitely think artificial intelligence, it's going to play a huge role. But I think the way we understand artificial intelligence today is not just all of these sci-fi movies that we watch. It's about how to build psychology into some of the artificial intelligence, the types of roles of individuals that we employ to help us build the complicated algorithms that are going to be needed to make artificial intelligence truly part of what we do every day. So I think that's going to be a major driving force in how leaders make decisions and how they communicate, how they interact, how they engage, and how they understand people around them as well.
And when it comes to social media, which platform or platforms do you recommend your students to master, to use, to leverage?
So for students, it's kind of difficult because it might be past my generation. Those are things my kids were probably more familiar with. But even with social media, a platform in a couple of years' time might look very different from the platform that exists today. But what I would recommend is whichever social media channel is chosen, use it for what it is designed to do. Twitter is used for something very unique in how to get messages across in small bursts of information and really get the interest. But LinkedIn, which has been amazing for me, might not be so attractive to my kids, as an example. I think even with Facebook, understanding how to use it from a social perspective, but now more and more, how do we use it from a business perspective? So I think it's more which social media channels are fit for purpose for what message you're trying to get across, as opposed to which one you would use and how you would use it.
Now, can you maybe share a success story or two from your innovators? Somebody that has gone through your incubator and really built a good business?
Geez, we have some amazing innovators that we work with. Let me start with our in-house coffee shop, since you've seen the in-house coffee shop. The entrepreneur there is Jaco. The business is called Roast Republic. I was hosting a delegation from Bahrain recently, and the gentleman said to me, "But surely a coffee shop is not an innovation." And I said, I beg to differ. Because yes, a coffee shop is a coffee shop, but when a coffee shop is also a social impact entrepreneur, then it's a social innovation. And what Jaco has done with his business is he, besides giving 50% of their coffee proceeds to underprivileged kids, he's also developed a coffee shop in a container model, where every container generates 3 jobs. So that's creating 3 jobs in a container that can be easily moved from one site to another. And he's already launched 2 of those containers, where 6 jobs are now created. And he has now started working on a new prototype, which is like a food truck type model, but a mini version of this coffee shop in a container that could be taken to every event. And on top of that, we ran a coffee shop accelerator where we trained baristas on how to own and run coffee shops. So that is an innovative model around the coffee shop model.
So did your visitors from Bahrain agree?
After I shared the example, yes. And that's what I said earlier. It's easier on face value to discard if you do not understand. But if you truly get to understand, then maybe you find the innovation along the way.
Now, which role models would you recommend your entrepreneurs, your innovators to study and maybe to learn from?
Look at the ones that are local to your community. We have amazing innovators in South Africa. We've got innovators across the color spectrum, the age spectrum, the demographic spectrum. And I really think if we can use role models from South Africa and Africa, we can change the narrative. So don't always go look for these amazing innovators from across our borders. We've got a young lady, Tato, who runs Rataka, which are school bags for kids. And she started this idea when she was still studying at the same school my daughter's now studying at. And she now employs over 15 women in Rustenburg. And she's an inspiration. She's been featured on Forbes magazine. There are other entrepreneurs like Jaco that I mentioned, entrepreneurs that are sitting here. Glad runs a company called Bala Books, as an example. And they're teaching kids literacy skills from a school level to write their own stories. So find role models that resonate with you. And they don't have to always be captains of industry. They can be those that are really making a difference and have the ability to grow really big.
So, Jayshree, where can people connect with you? Where can they follow your leadership online?
So online, you can find me on LinkedIn at Jayshree Naidoo. On Twitter, my Twitter handle is at Jayshree Naidoo. That's JAYSHNAIDOO, Jayshree Naidoo. And on Instagram as well, Jayshree Naidoo. And obviously the hashtag SB Incubator for all our incubator-related activities.
And I believe you share most content on LinkedIn?
Twitter.
On Twitter?
So I share most content on Twitter, but many times if there's a serious post that I want to write up, I write it up on LinkedIn, but then I share it on Twitter as well. So the best way to know exactly what I'm busy with is to follow me on Twitter.
Now, last but not least, Jayshree, is there one thing you would recommend aspiring leaders, youngsters, entrepreneurs to really apply in their own career, in their own life?
Find what is driving you. What's your purpose? What's your core belief? And make sure that whatever you do, it aligns to that purpose. Because if you follow your purpose, you don't ever have to give up on your dreams. So when things get really tough, the thing that will drive you is the purpose to actually live out your dream. And just stay with it. Don't give up on your dreams. You can actually achieve anything you put your mind to with the right level of determination and support. And the support mechanisms are there. It's just make sure you find them early on.
Well, Jayshree, thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
a great inspiration. And thank you for building the future and building the future innovators. So hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Nick.
All the best.